Leslie Rogalski is here with us today, and Leslie, you always have great ideas. This one is using traditional stitches with bigger beads.
That's right. I work with little tiny beads. Now I'm going to get bigger because it makes a real statement piece, and it certainly goes faster.
It sure does. Look at this beautiful bracelet. That is really pretty.
I brought a cuff that's flat angle weave with embellishment. One of the advantages to using bigger beads is that most of them have bigger bead holes, so you can really get some fun stuff on there. So I'm going to take you right into it and show you how I did this.
Okay, sure.
I have lucite or resin beads, and I'm working with a cord, not a beading thread, because it needs to hold the bigger beads. And you can use a crewel or embroidery needle. You just want to make sure that it fits through your beads. So as in flat right angle weave, you start with a circle. I have 4 of the lucite beads and 4 size 6 seed beads. And I've completed my circle through all of them and exited here, and I've strung 3 and 2 because in right angle weave things share. So now I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to pass through the seed beads as well as the lucite beads. You want to make sure that you don't pierce the thread with your needle. So there we go. We're going to bring that through, and sometimes you need a little pliers to pull that through, but I think I can do it. There we go.
And so that makes your first stitch.
So this was the first stitch or unit. This makes the second one.
All right.
And now I would pass through around. I'm building the bracelet this way. So you'd want to come through these beads and exit here and pick up 3 more and continue until you have a length that's just shy of the length that you need minus your clasp allowance.
Okay, can we see you do that last?
Sure. I'm going to pick it up. I'm going to pass around in the opposite circular direction, and I'm going to pass through the lucite. Whoop, that was just my tail thread. You see I have a stopper on there. And I'm going to pass through the 2 seed bead, the seed bead, the resin or lucite bead, and the seed bead, and finish that stitch.
Okay.
And now we're just going to continue. Now, one thing about big beads is they do take up more room on your wrist, so you do want to keep measuring it around for fit because it could actually measure longer than you usually are used to. So you have that, and you're going to weave your ends in and knot them obscurely. You can dab the knot with a glue, and you're going to end up with your full length flat right angle weave cuff. And now comes the fun part. Now I have started the embellishment already. You would start from the end. Let's pretend that this bead here that I'm coming out of is your end bead.
Okay.
You're going to work with thermally bonded beading thread this time because you're going to use some smaller seed beads. So this is big and small together. I'm using still size 8, an E bead, some rondelles, and a nice other lucite bead. And you're going to string your first embellishment and come across, exiting that side, come across and pass straight through across the unit,
so that you're going to your stitch.
So you have it, and you don't want to pull it too tight because if you see in the ones previously where they're straight across, so now you're going to string, I have 5 of these size 8 beads. I'm going to actually pass back through what I'm going to call the center section. So I'm going to pass through that big E bead, the rondelle, the lucite bead, the rondelle, and just the E bead on the other side, and I'll show you that in a second so you can see I'm not passing through any of the seed beads.
Right.
And you're going to do that. You're going to pick up the other 5 beads, and you're going to pass back through and finish that embellishment this way, straight through. And then you're going to add the little picots. So you're going to want to pass up through these seed beads and through the whole center section again to exit here. And you're going to pick up a crystal and a tiny little seed bead, pass back through the crystal, through the whole center section, finish your picot, and come out through the seed beads to start again.
Go ahead and add that.
Okay, so I'm going to pick this up. So you want to pass up through these.
So this is another way that you can add embellishment.
Yes.
And you can do this on regular seed bead size work too.
You can. You absolutely can. The thing to remember with the smaller beads is they do have smaller holes, and you have to watch how many thread passes you have. So I've passed through the center section. I'm going to pick up a tanzanite bicone and a little seed bead, and I'm just going to pass back through the bicone again, skipping the little seed bead, and pass back through the whole center section and repeat on the other side with the picot. So there's the crystal and the little seed bead, size 11, and you can use anything. I have the crystals there. And now you're going to pass through the whole thing again, and this is reinforcing it as you do this, but you're not going to pass through the picot on the other side. You're going to now come down through the seed beads and start again and add your embellishments as you grow.
Yeah, so you can
that's
just
how
keep
you do
building
it.
it.
That's right. To add a clasp, you want to add a clasp with a separate piece of thread. You're going to string a rondelle and a piece of your clasp. I have a magnet here, and then some seed beads. And then you're going to pass through, pretend this is woven in. You're going to pass through just the last, very end beads like this. And the reason I'm doing it like this, where I have this loose thread, is because now I'm going to string the other side of it, and it's going to be able to allow me to have a knot that's obscured. So I'm going to string these next seed beads, and there would be 6 on here, and I'm going to bring them up to the clasp and make the knot there. It would be inside the rondelle, so it would be hidden.
Yeah, so it's hidden. Good
yes.
idea.
And that's basically all there is to it. And of course, if you want to, you can keep adding layers to this because there's still a lot of room left in the holes of those big beads.
Yeah, so pretty, and what a great way to embellish. Now, is this right angle weave also using these large beads?
No, that's peyote stitch, and I've used wax linen with that. Added a big honkin' ancient talisman to it, crafted my own clasp, because it needed it. And some of the other pieces that I brought to show you too are just examples of what can happen when you use traditional stitching with larger beads. It just brings it to that statement right away.
It sure does. Yeah, that's a great idea. And so maybe looking at your stash in a different way.